I've now had 3 throat surgeries, not for a little while now. And I've just had to change those things up, you know. We're not the youngsters we used to be. We're maturing in terms of a band and what people expect from us. And that responsibility sort of lies on me, you know. If I'm unable to go out there and do what I do, like, where does the show go from there, you know? So I've definitely turned a corner, like matured in a way and taken things a bit more seriously. So I think everything's having a positive impact on me, but still think I have a long way to go. There's so many awesome vocalists out there that have their technique absolutely dialed. So I'm still, you know, still working on it, but, you know, everyone's different. So we'll get there.
What's up, everybody? It's Keefy from GhostCultMag.com, and I'm once again so stoked to be joined by Lawrence Taylor while she sleeps. How you doing?
Yeah, good, bro. How you doing?
I'm great. It's always, again, the childhood football fan in me thinks Lawrence Taylor is like the big imposing linebacker from the Giants, because I'm 1,000 years old. But you're awesome, and it's great to see you again. And man, congratulations on this brand new album of bangers, Self Hell. Yeah, man, what an absolute ripper. And I think it's kind of like what we need right now is this kind of music for 2024 that's going to shake us up. But what I found something super interesting in the PR materials, and shout out to the whole team and the record label and the PR for this. But I saw something that I underlined, which was like the band is kind of reimagining itself from the beginning. Like, it's almost like you said, like we just started all over again. And I wanted to start there. Let's hear about that.
Yeah, I think that, you know, we've been doing this a long time now. You know, I've been in the band since 2009 with the same group of guys, and I think, like, naturally you're on a journey. You know, we all came together through the love of metalcore, and I think we all genuinely still love metalcore, and you know, the early 2000s bands like All That Remains, Darkest Hour, that breed of band, and that was very exciting. I think for me anyway, like, it's become a very, very oversaturated genre. So, you know, and that's not to say it's good or bad, but there's tons and tons of bands writing great metalcore. Now, whether that's down to plugins being awesome now and being a lot easier to put your band through the metalcore machine or whatever. But yeah, I think that we've sort of done the metalcore thing, and now we're trying to kind of push our boundaries a little bit more and explore different sounds, and leaning into like our influences a bit more from being younger, but also like stuff that we like right now. So Self Hell's I think it's the most collaborative record we've ever written, and I think that for us it's trying to step away from metalcore a little bit and just explore like where the band can go in the future as a whole, you know what I mean? Whether that's, you know, the new record, I think when people get hold of it, I've been saying, you know, expect the unexpected. You know, we want to push the boundaries, we want to try out some new things, and yeah, so that's where we're at. Like, I think it's a very collaborative record in the sense that it's probably the most that way, most collaborative record we've ever put out.
Right, which is, you know, not always easy to let your ego down and let other people come in and guide and drive your baby as much as it's yours. It's their band too. And I think there was another note that was like, it was 2 guys who helped make most of these records, and now everybody's involved and everybody's got a say, which is really cool, because Sleep Society was so strong, but it also came out at a tough time when things were just coming back in the industry and everybody was kind of like gently stepping on the ice and afraid to fall through. But you guys came out roaring, and now back again with this new record, and it is a different record. Fans should not get concerned. It still sounds like you, but I think, you know, there's not like a wild. We're not doing Lulu here, you know, nothing personal to Lou Reed, rest in peace, and Metallica, but like, we're not doing that. It's not wildly different sounding, but it is definitely, there's definitely like a lot more throwback sounds, I'll call it. And so some 90s metal. I hear you dropping bars. There's like some new metal bars in there that I love to hear you do. I love to hear you rap. And drop that fire bar, my friend. Drop it anytime you can. And again, like, still some of the trademarks, great riffing, really cool stuff, and you know, underneath the songs, multi-layered tracks, and of course breakdowns and choruses, because what would we be without them? I love that you said this. I really wish there was like a place we could send all the bands, like a metalcore factory, because it does feel like that sometimes as a reviewer, that like there's just an endless stream of these bands. But you could say that about thrash and death metal too.
You can.
You
for
really
sure.
can. So, but fair enough, fair play. And then, because Sleep Society was almost like it felt like a concept record. It was so heavy emotionally because I think the time in the world. And then this
Yeah,
record's like, to me, a lot more uplifting lyrically, like a lot
yeah,
more, you can do it, go get 'em, it's going to be okay,
yeah,
than everything is shit. Like not that Sleep Society was, but like that's how the world
yeah,
felt in
yeah.
21, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think like as a record, Self-Help is quite reflective of just how life can be at times. You know, like the both sides of the coin, the negative and the positive, and trying to balance those out. And I guess for me, it's a strange one. I don't really write on guitar. You know, I just or into a computer. I just write sort of dark poetry, if you like, and sometimes that's kind of it's strange to have written something half a year ago and then you're into the record and you're sort of pulling ideas and lyrics from different pages, and it's kind of like reading back through a psychopath's diary. You know what, at one instance it's like I hate everything and can't be dealing with anything, and then in the next breath it's almost like be grateful for what you have and live in the moment and enjoy it. So it is I think the record for me does feel like that, very representative of how it can be manic and heavy, but then it can also be like a bit more atmospheric and a bit more clean, if you like. So the ebbs and flows through the record do kind of reflect how life is for me in that sense.
Right on, and again, it's luckily we have these outlets to let out our feelings and
Yeah, bro.
release the valve every once in a while, man. It's just a lot to carry around. Everybody out there is
Yeah, for
going
sure.
going going through stuff. But I will also say, like, I feel like this is in a weird way the most live sounding record, maybe because it's that collaboration. Because I've seen the band perform live, and you guys are just very energetic and really
Yeah.
become like really have that exchange with the crowd down. And I feel like this stuff is going to be so massive live.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I think that's the thinking behind it. You know, I think we split the records into two halves in the recording process, and that made it a lot better, like a lot easier to digest in a sense. I think sometimes spending so much time on a record with your head down, trying to work it out and compromising with your team and your band, doing sort of 3 months straight, day in day out, can be quite daunting at times. So we broke the record into two. We went and did a bit of live stuff in between. And so I think that kept the writing process fresh in terms of what will go down well live and versus like more album. So yeah, that was definitely in mind. I can't remember if there was a question there, but yeah.
I think it was more like an observation. These are all conversations anyway. Less interrogation and more conversation. That's what I like. I made a rhyme. Look at me. And I like I said, I dig this record a lot. I think it's gonna be really. It's not just like, oh, my band has a new record. I think it's gonna actually really help people, which is the number one thing. Music's the
Yeah.
healer, and we're in such a broken time. But I like that you guys are positive and uplifting.
Yeah.
That's more of my
Oh,
thing.
I think that like however negative the connotations might feel on the surface, the sort of what we always want to prevail with in Sleeps is a positive message. You know, we're privileged enough to be able to stand up there and shout words at people and show people our art. So I think that as negative as we can be, we always want to give out a positive message, and some of the things you've already spoken about. But yeah, just make sure people are left with a positive message at the end of it all, no matter how much of a roller coaster the song might be. So yeah, definitely positive is the way forward for us.
Right on. And then, of course, with the heavy schedule, recording, touring in between and stuff, you had some notable vocal problems about 10 years ago, and you've been pretty, as far as we could tell, pretty strong ever since.
Yeah,
Have
yeah.
you changed, like, from your youth, in not just recording, but to go out live? Have you changed what you do for warm ups and protecting yourself so you're strong every show?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, originally, there was a lot of talk when I first started out about, well, less talk than there is now on the internet and helpful videos. But I would stumble across bands that had training and were like doing a lot of fry screaming and stuff. And my opinion of that at the time when I was younger was like, look, if it's not heavy, if you've not given it everything you have, like what is the point of kind of like shouting or screaming in the first place? So I kind of ignored all the people telling me I should knuckle down on some technique and try and look after myself. And literally sort of 4 or 5 years ago, got in a bit of a state with like drink, drugs, and that kind of thing, and just wasn't looking after my voice. And that was probably the catalyst for the first couple of surgeries. I've now had 3 throat surgeries, obviously, like you say, not for a little while now. And I've just had to change those things up, you know. We're not the youngsters we used to be. We're maturing in terms of a band and what people expect from us. And that responsibility sort of lies on me, you know. If I'm unable to go out there and do what I do, like, where does the show go from there, you know? And so I've definitely turned a corner, like matured in a way, and taken things a bit more seriously. So I think everything's having a positive impact on me, but still think I have a long way to go. There's so many awesome vocalists out there that have their technique absolutely dialed. So I'm still, you know, still working on it, but, you know, everyone's different. So we'll get there. And like you say, not had any vocal issues for a while now. So feeling strong and just trying to, like you say, the album goes to a few different places. There's a bit of like new metal-y kind of rap stuff in there, a bit of clean vocal, like my old school emo days. And yeah, just experimenting and trying to have fun and look after myself. So yeah, feeling good and yeah, stoked for the record.
Yeah, I'm so glad to hear it, and you know, please keep taking care of yourself. It's tough. It's tough. The rock lifestyle is not for everybody. Touring is not for everybody. I was gonna say I had a question about. It's funny that you said emo, right? Because I figured you guys were all, you know, thinking about the time frame punks growing up, like into punk, whether it was
Yeah.
you know emo or pop punk or whatever. Do you have like some favorite bands from back then in that genre?
Yeah, all sorts. You know, like I think I was initially sort of shown new metal, and that was sort of the genre I got into first. Obviously, being like a '90s kid or whatever. So yeah, a lot of new metal coming over from the into the UK and just blowing my mind. From then to sort of started scoping out everything. So like I got into sort of like bands like Funeral for a Friend and like AFI and Alkaline Trio, and that kind of led me down to the true emo stuff like Sunny Day Real Estate and stuff like that, like the really early stuff. And then from there, it just sort of blew wide open, and I was just submerged with all these bands and like Where to Go, like At the Drive-In and Refused and all this cool stuff. So yeah, just anything I hear that I just like. And some of the cleaner vocals on this record do take me to a bit of that sort of early emo kind of phase, and that's been really fun to sort of lean back into, yeah, amongst other things as well. So like I said, the record really goes all over the place, from like some sort of breakbeat kind of drumming into some sort of drum and bass stuff, and then like at times it's got like a Radiohead vibe a little bit somewhere with like slow ambience and like droning sound. So yeah, like I say, we're just trying to relax a little bit, trust the process in the studio, and just see where it kind of takes us, and try not to overthink things too much. I think that's something that's really easy to do as a young band growing up. You know, all you want to do is nurture what you have, and you feel grateful that people want to come and see your band. And we'll always go out there on stage like we're the underdog, because that's what energizes us. That's what makes us put on the energetic show. But I think feeling less and less like we are an underdog now, and that we do have a core fan base, is helping us to grow in confidence and lean into these sort of changes, and breathing a fresh breathing some fresh life into the band after all these years. So yeah.
Nice. Also, I mean, your fan base is, you know, as you said, they're diehard, and I do feel like you've now nurtured them to the point where they'll come along with you when you take them on a journey. You know, Sleep Society was different than the record before it. This is different than that, and I think they're okay with it. Some fans will get mad at you if you don't stay the same, but you have to keep yourself satisfied. You are your first number one fan, and if you're not a fan of what you're hearing in the studio or what you've written, they're gonna know. They're gonna know it.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like when we're in a good place and we're happy and stoked what we're putting out, that's when that's when our fan base is going to react, you know, in the best way to it. So to be fair, like our first full album was called This Is the Six, and the idea of that title was to show appreciation and the fact that we were humbled by our fan base, the sixth member in a sense being anyone that's on the journey with us. And that's still 100% the same. Like I know every band says it, like our fan base is the best, but like we put out stuff like taking Sleep Society and the first single from that record, and just trying to explain that how the industry's changed so much, and how physical sales have depleted, and starting the Patreon to help balance that out. Like our fan base responded so well, and that puts us in the position now of like funded the record directly from our fan base. We are self-managed. We are doing all the videos in-house, you know, all the artwork's ours. And it really allows us to be transparent with our fan base, really give them like the art in a sense from us to them and vice versa. It's a lovely relationship, and stoked, you know, to be releasing records in that way off our own label, self-managed now. It's incredible, really. We're the biggest we've been as a band, moving into sort of arena space and playing huge festival shows, but also we feel like the most DIY punk we've ever been at the same time. So it's a crazy collaboration. But yeah, shout out to our fans out there that really keep it alive for us.
Yeah, you've really led the way on Patreon. It hasn't worked for everybody, but it has worked for you, which is really cool to see. And again, like I said, I think some of that is the fan base itself, and some of that is how you've managed to, you know, parse it out. You got to give them something of value to get back support, and I think that's the number one thing. If people feel like they're getting to know an intimate relationship with the band more than the average fan, they're gonna definitely contribute.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing is, like, we've been doing this a long time, so if people are new to it and they want like insight into like our journey and all the things we've learned on the way, that's all there for them. So to a degree, like, yeah, you pay a subscription and there's tons to go through, whether you're in this society, sleep society, for a bit of fun, or whether you are in there to get info and help on certain things. Like, there's so much in there. So it works for everybody, which is a really cool community to have around a band. And for me as well, like, when I was a youngster and I got into new metal and all these bands, there's no better feeling than like walking past someone on the street and them wearing the same hoodie as you, and that real sense of community that came along in the sort of, for me, the earlier days. And it's something that we always wanted to build, and it's just incredible that we've managed to, you know, like, that feels so special in itself. Matt Welsh, our guitarist, says that he could definitely go for a beer with 90% of our fan base. And like, and I think that's right. You know, our fan base seem that they're very, very cool people, like-minded. They understand our message, and yeah, it's incredible to, after all the years, be in this position now to say, like, we have built a community. We are, you know, playing some huge shows, and yeah, it blows my mind.
Right on. I love to hear it. And again, just like Sleep Society was this big, you know, such a big event live, what are the, you know, is it too soon to talk about the plans for, like, you know, interpreting this material live and folding it into the existing, you know, set list? You have to, you know, you have to play certain songs forever, and the last record was so strong. What do you leave in? What do you add from this album to the set list now?
Yeah, internally that's always a difficult conversation. You know, different fans come and go, different fans get introduced to your band at different parts of the journey and different records. So it's always kind of a tough decision to make, like, what are we going to move out to bring in, and how many new songs do we play? We try and always do a bit of everything, so that if no matter what generation of Whilst You Sleeps fan is at a show, you know, they've got something that they can latch onto in amongst other things. I mean, the dream is that they just love everything, right? But, you know, as you say, you can't win them all. But yeah, so tough internal conversations. Obviously, we tend to put the singles into the set list that get released. But then if you take Systematic, for example, from our last record, that was a front runner after the album dropped, and it bumped its way up. So now that we, you know, it's straight in the set there, and we always thought it'd be a great live song. So I think there'll be some surprises with this. We might see other songs come forward and end up playing those live. And again, that's something that's very exciting for us to see, how it's, you know, how people take the new record and what is more popular. But we tried to cherry pick diverse songs for the singles, so that it gives people an idea. But as I said, for anyone, you know, it's expect the unexpected. It's a bit different to our previous records.
Indeed, I dig it. Just as the last thing, because of course we've been talking a lot about new metal, so now I got to put you on the spot and be like, if you got the four horsemen of Korn, Limp Bizkit, Deftones, and Linkin Park, who do you pick?
When I was younger, I would have said Linkin Park. Moving into Limp Bizkit, but I think now, out of those, I'd say Deftones.
Tracks, especially with the band, that makes a lot of sense. Like, I hear a lot of Deftones influence in you guys, which is wonderful. And yeah, there's no wrong answer. I just like to have an answer, and so
no, for sure.
Selfishly, but yeah, Deftones really changed the game of the White Pony and really went on a whole different path. And
yeah,
phenomenal stuff.
I think my favorite song is Digital Bath. Like, I just Just, yeah, can't fault the song.
So good, so good. We'd love to hear you guys cover it. That would be fun.
Yes, I would love that.
Challenge given. Lawrence Taylor, man, it's great to see you again. Congratulations on Self How, new records coming out soon. Just thanks for always chopping it up with us. We really appreciate you.
No, thanks for your time, bro. Really appreciate it. Like, glad you're enjoying the record. Keep spinning it. Let us know what your favorites are, and yeah, I hope to talk to you in the future.
Yeah, of course. Right, because you got me on the spot right now. Dope Sick. That's the number one, but like
Hey,
they're all
yeah, yeah,
killer. All
cool.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
See ya.
See you later, bro. Thanks for your time.